Obama coalition, Scott, is the minority vote, particularly African Americans and Hispanic voters. Remember, President Obama won in 2008 by boosting their participation. We've seen minority voters grow from 17% of the electorate in 1996. Look at that, to 26% in 2008. Look at that growth. The Obama team is betting that it will go even higher. They're certainly hoping that tonight.
Thank you, Nora. Now, of course, we keep talking about these 9 battleground states, but there are 50 states in the union after all. Our CBS News political director, John Dickerson, is our man at the map. And, John, what about the 41 other states?
That's right. We talk about the battleground states for months. We've been going through them, and we'll be following them minute by minute tonight. But what about the other 41? Well, let's go take a look at the map. As we're walking, we'll all refresh ourselves about our government class, which taught us that we don't vote directly for the president. We vote for electors, and each state has as many electors as they do members of Congress. Well, in those 41 states, CBS News has determined, based on the polls, that those states are likely to go to one candidate or the other. So let's start with President Obama. He is likely to get 237 electoral votes. That comes from states like California and New York, which traditionally go for the Democrat. Governor Romney starts or is likely to get 191 electoral votes. That comes from states like Texas and Georgia. After you distribute those 41 states, that leaves us with the 9 we've been talking about: Nevada, Colorado, Iowa, Wisconsin, Ohio, New Hampshire, Virginia, North Carolina, and Florida. That's where the competition will be tonight, because those states, it's just too close, and so now we wait.
John, thank you. The biggest of those battleground states are Florida, Ohio, and Virginia. And that is where the candidates have been spending a lot of time since the Republican convention. The Obama-Biden ticket in blue and the Romney-Ryan ticket in those red dots you see there. We have correspondents in all 3 of those states tonight. And first, Dean Reynolds is in the birthplace of 7 American presidents, the state of Ohio. Dean?
Good evening, Scott, from the State House in Columbus. You know, Ohio started voting early 5 weeks ago, and 1,787,000 people took advantage of that opportunity, the highest number in the state's history. We noticed today as well that a lot of people are casting provisional ballots. They go to people whose address doesn't match their registration, or who requested an absentee ballot from the state but never got around to sending it back in. And those provisional ballots could provide something of a dilemma, because they need to be validated. And they are not counted until November 17th. So a very close race could keep us waiting around for several days after the election, and that could provide a window of opportunity for lawyers who are descending on this state, Scott, and may see this race go into the courts.
And Ohio could very well tip the balance for one candidate or the other tonight, Dean. Thank you very much. Virginia, the birthplace of 8 American presidents, has 13 electoral votes. The polls close in the Commonwealth of Virginia at the top of the hour, and Wyatt Andrews is there tonight. Wyatt?
Scott, this is the George Mason University Student Center in Fairfax, Virginia. And this one key question tonight in this key state is who wins the youth vote, that is, voters under age 35. It was almost 5 years ago in this very atrium that the students here staged an electrifying rally for the then unknown Senator Barack Obama. That rally helped energize the Students for Obama movement nationwide and helped Obama win Virginia. But now, fast forward to just yesterday, when Mitt Romney was the rock star on this very same campus. 5,000 people came to hear him in the basketball arena, with several thousand people listening to him from the outside. Tonight, the Obama campaign says it owns the numbers of young voters. The Romney campaign says it owns young voters' enthusiasm. And the extent to which young voters will either stay in or quit the Obama coalition, Scott, that could be decisive tonight in this razor-thin fight for battleground Virginia.
Wyatt, thank you. Now, the biggest of the swing states is Florida, with 29 electoral votes, and we have Elaine Quijano there tonight. Elaine?
Good evening, Scott. We're at a viewing party on the campus of the University of South Florida in Tampa. This is part of the I-4 corridor, an area that is evenly split between Republicans and Democrats, but it is also home to a large number of independent voters. This county, Hillsborough County, is a significant bellwether. Since 1960, voters in this county have picked the winning presidential candidate in every election except for 1992 when they picked George H.W. Bush. Now, as for today, there have been no reports of any major problems at the polls here in Florida. However, there have been some extremely long lines, people waiting upwards of 3 hours in Miami-Dade County. Now, elections officials tell us that is due in part to the long ballots here in Florida. For instance, in Hillsborough County, it is 6 pages. Those voter lines, though, could actually have been much longer, but some 4.5 million people here in Florida actually cast their ballots early. And, Scott, that's about 38% of registered voters here.
And so difficult for Mitt Romney to win tonight without winning Florida. Elaine, thank you very much. CBS News coverage of election night with our entire Campaign 2012 team begins immediately after this broadcast at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, everyone knows Election Day is always Tuesday, but we wondered why. Our research department tells us that Congress set that day by law in 1845, and Congress reasoned that it would take a man on horseback a day to reach the county seat in order to vote. Now, that voter couldn't travel on the Christian Sabbath, Sunday, and he would have to be back for the farmer's market in his town, which was traditionally on Wednesday. And that is why we vote on Tuesday. Nothing will stop some people from voting, not even Hurricane Sandy. Their story is next when the CBS Evening News continues.
In America today, we're running out of a vital resource we need
to compete on the global stage.
What we need are people.